May 26th board meeting to order. May we have approval of the agenda?
This is Shannon. I move to approve the agenda.
This is GR, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we do not have any special recognition at this time. So we will move on to the part of the president. I guess it's just all tied in one. I just had the opportunity to attend the parades for both LHS and the schools that elementary and middle schools that eventually feed into LHS, as well as Free State High. And it was such a blast. Had fun not only getting to know the different staff members that showed up, but just to see the smiles on our students and teachers who were waiting near their homes or in that area. It was just really great to see. And even though it was early, we had some seniors show up as well. So it was just a really great experience. And first student, just thank you for that opportunity. And then also a few things. Oh, I did not get to attend the Free State parade or drive through for the seniors, but I did get to witness some of it. It looked like they had a good time. I actually attended the Lawrence High for my senior and drove them around so they can, just be recognized and have fun. And it was so much fun. And I heard from other parents as well as the seniors. It's just something that, I hope will be a new tradition, because it was just amazing seeing the seniors. They were all happy, I saw other seniors riding along who probably did not have rides. It was just really, really, really cool to see. And finally, I know it's the school year has officially ended, and I know lots of teachers, including myself, we didn't get a chance to say a proper good farewell to our students or enjoy your summer. But they know that if you could, it would have been done. And I know that there were other parades as well as the bus parade. There were parades in the elementary schools and middle schools. So I just want to just say thank you to the teachers and staff who, went the extra mile. And I know for you it's nothing, but it definitely makes a tough situation shed light into a difficult time. So, and I think that is all that I have. Oh, I do have one more thing. I just recently read the LJ World and how they honored our retired teachers or retiring teachers and staff. So I just thought that was a really neat article to read, and just give honor and recognition where it was due. So I think that's all I have. We'll move on to the report of the superintendent. Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, President Johnson. Good afternoon, good evening, board members and community members that are watching, staff. I do want to echo what Melissa stated as it relates to our senior drive-through, I guess, ceremonies. It wasn't technically a ceremony, it was a parade that we did honor them on the night of their scheduled graduation. And it was really a huge opportunity for students to come together and really express themselves. I know at Lawrence High, the students, they seem to appreciate decorating their cars and riding through the parade. It really just showed their creativity. They were allowed to express themselves. I know you've probably read and heard in the past about how some schools and school districts battled senior just wanting to decorate their mortarboard, but for them to decorate the entire car to express themselves. And we're really excited about it. And some staff at both schools stated that it wouldn't be a bad tradition to add on to every year. So there's a lot of excitement around that. So our food services staff did resume our meal services, providing our kids free meals. That will go from now until Friday from 11 to 1. And this includes the distribution of meals on Fridays and for the weekend. This will be at our same school sites, Hillcrest, Swegler, Billy Mills, and Liberty Memorial. As a reminder, our summer food programs begins on June 1st. We will share those locations and details on our websites and on our social media platforms. We enjoyed seeing some of our school families and community members during the school bus parade on last week. Thank you to Melissa for coming along and ride, and our many thanks to First students and as well as our amazing bus drivers. I think they had just as much as fun as we did, and we definitely appreciate all of the scholars and their families for making signs. There was quite a number of signs just thanking teachers in general. And so we're definitely appreciative of those that decided to hang out and wait, even though we were a little behind on schedule, but hang out and wait for the school bus parade. I was pleased to surprise the Free State High SOAR team with the Rick Dahl Teamwork Award on Thursday. Truity Credit Union will provide the team with $1,000 to support their efforts. At Nisi Metz, Ted Juno, Kerry Austin Janasek, and Mike Coben. Those individuals that work with a small group of at-risk students and their teachers to help them overcome any type of social and test anxieties and attendance and motivational concerns so that they can learn the skills that they need to graduate. This is a huge program that was implemented, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, and it's really been an added benefit, value added for Free State and the students there that are in the program. As a matter of fact, Principal Myron Graber says that he hears from parents every week about the positive impact that this school within a school program provided, the school program provides their kids. Congratulations to all of our 5th and 8th graders for moving on up to middle and high schools, where we fully expect to see your continued success. So congratulations also to our 5th and 8th graders that are moving up to middle and high schools. Our elementary schools have created a website with resources for summer learning. So we will kind of continue our learning. And so this is available at usd497.org/elementary summer learning. The middle schools will be providing lessons throughout the summer on Google Classrooms. Our high schools will host credit recovery online from June 1st through June 26th for those students that need to recover any type of credit. Our extended school year program for students with special needs will be held virtually. All returning students may keep their devices this summer, and we are encouraging and are hopeful that they will use them to have some fun, to stay connected with family and friends, and most importantly, to continue learning. And we encourage them to be curious about things that you just want to know more about. So use those devices to just expand your learning. Our elementary school staff participated in a vote last week about whether to apply for the state's Apollo 2 redesign. None of the schools met the 80% participation and 80% favorable vote to apply at this time. We have created the email address patroncommentary@usd497.org to facilitate any public comment. So anyone who would like to speak to the board should use this email address up until the patron commentary time on the agenda. Again, that's patroncommentary@usd497.org. Our COVID-19 task force has worked with LEA to identify teachers to serve on a variety of committees for fall planning. Those invitations were sent out last week. The Health and Safety Subcommittee has already been working. There are other subcommittees that will wait to meet until June 1st. They're discussing surveying parents, students, and staff for their input as it relates to fall planning. We are preparing to bring our summer staff back to work next week with health and safety procedures in place. Staff badge access to school buildings will be limited this summer. Due to summer hours, our buildings and district offices will be closed to the public on Fridays. Our schools and the Technology and Innovation Department continue to support parents with annual student registration. We are about halfway there, still a long way to go, but this is an important process that we need all parents to complete so that we have current contact information, student health histories. This is vital now more than any, and parent permissions on file for start of the new school year. If you have not completed the annual registration, expect to be contacted this summer by your student school. We are working with high schools on the logistics for the high school graduation. We will plan to issue 5 guest tickets to each graduate in order to provide seating with proper physical distancing. Again, Lawrence Virtual School graduation is 1 p.m. July 11th in the Free State High Auditorium. Free State High graduation is 8 a.m. July 18th in the Free State High Stadium. Lawrence High School's graduation is that same date, July 18th at 10:30 in Lawrence High's Stadium. July 18th rain plan is for us to conduct drive-through graduation parades. All plans will obviously meet the health and safety requirements and are subject to change as conditions, the public health conditions change. So congratulations to all of our graduating seniors and their families and their school communities. As stated earlier, we will do all we can to properly celebrate your success. And once again, congratulations, as Melissa indicated, to all of our retiring teachers and staff. It's a great article in today's Lawrence Journal World. We definitely thank all of our teachers for their years of service and wish them the best on each of their retirements. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And also just wanted to say thank you to you and to everyone who kind of resolved the issue of the patron commentary in such a quick manner. So thank you. And I don't believe we have any patron commentary, so we will move on to board commentary. Do we have anyone? No, right, Dr. Lewis with you. Okay, so we'll move on to board commentary.
Melissa, I have some things to share this evening. Thank you. Just wanted, first of all, to say congratulations to our graduating seniors. Thank you to our teachers and staff for the courageous effort they put in to finish out our school year under these conditions. And thank you to our parents who have been really very supportive, I feel, throughout this process as we've tried to navigate how to make this all happen for the last 10 weeks. So I just wanted to share that. I had a couple of things that I've attended in the last couple of weeks I wanted to share with fellow board members. KASB has continued to have their Wednesday Leadership Forum teleconferences. I think tomorrow is the last one if you're interested, the last weekly one. I think they're planning to do more things over the summer, but this is the last weekly one. A couple weeks ago, they had someone from the executive director from Keisha come on and talk about the things that Keisha is doing in terms of helping our athletic programs and activities programs with their summer activities. One thing I thought was interesting is that their board has granted the district's flexibility. Typically, Keisha has some very stringent guidelines about how students are eligible for fall activities in terms of their academic achievement. They're granting districts flexibility in that. In other words, they're going to allow districts to make that determination themselves, whether students have met the academic eligibility requirements for participation in the fall, given that every district had slightly different things going on this spring. And they want to make sure that students are not disadvantaged in the eligibility determination. So I thought that was an interesting conversation. Last week, they had one of the KASB staff members who does a lot of work in health and wellness and brain research around health and wellness come and talk about how boards can be supportive of their superintendents and their administrators during this time in terms of helping as the superintendent board team, helping everyone cope with the stress that's been going on. And I thought that was also a really good conversation. So just wanted to share that. And then our board policy committee met, myself, Paula, and Kelly. We met last Monday and spent some time working on some recommended policy updates to our district finance policies. And I think that will be coming to the board sometime in the next month or so for review. We continue to have some other things on our agenda. I've asked actually to have a discussion at one of our upcoming policy meetings about the new guidance from the Federal Department of Education around Title IX and sexual harassment and sexual assault investigations. I think there might be some implications for our district policies in this new guidance. And so we're going to take a look at that and have that discussion with our legal counsel. And then finally, as part of the leadership team for KASB, I had the opportunity to participate in a Zoom conference call with Congressman Roger Marshall this last week. And just wanted to share that we really emphasized with him our need for him to be supportive of additional IDEA funding to support the waivers that are being requested by our State Department for flexibility in our meals program to allow us to continue providing meals to students in the way that we have during the time out of school, possibly being able to do that in the fall. That waiver expires, I think, at the beginning of June. And so we're asking them to extend that. So if we have to be out of school for any reason, we can still continue to feed students the way we have been. And then also had an opportunity to talk with him about the need for congressional support to help close the homework gap and provide students with access to internet and devices at home. And got to use some examples from our district in terms of it's more than just the rural access problem that he's very familiar with, being the representative from the first district in Western Kansas, but we also have challenges with that. So I was able to share some of the examples that we have heard about from our own students and families at our board meetings. So I just wanted to share that with all of you, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Anyone else?
Hi, this is Carol Kadu Blackwood. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to this year's seniors.
I believe there's at least 4 of us board members that had seniors graduating. That's pretty rare. But including my own JoJo Blackwood over at Lawrence High School. And I was able to attend the KSB forums with fellow board members Shannon and Paula. So we've been meeting at noon discussing state policy. And I was able to participate in sack lunch distribution around the different schools around town. And I met with the Lawrence Schools Foundation, and we discussed on how to continue to distribute lunches, the logo redesign, and teacher awards. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Hey, this is GR. I just have a couple things. So congratulations to the seniors. I'm sitting in between 2 graduating classes for me personally, so I don't have a senior this year, but so I just want to congratulate them. Shannon and I didn't have a facilities committee meeting this month, but we got a great update from Tony on the progress at Lawrence High with a video that he produced, and then a video that McCown Gordon produced. That is very exciting to see the work that's being done, and an update earlier today on some of the work at the middle schools that's progressing. They've been able to get a lot of work done without students, and Tony's been able to without people in the buildings, been able to get out and get some good information to us. And so those projects are all proceeding very, very, very nicely. And then the last thing that I want to say is that for the Scouts from Troop 55 that are watching this meeting live or going to watch it later for their citizenship in the community merit badge, the correct answer is 17.
Thank you. Erica?
What was the question?
I know, I was wondering.
The question's going to be, what number did I say during the meeting that you were supposed to watch?
Oh, I see.
Yes, so I would also like to congratulate our seniors and families and district staff for finishing the school year really, really strong. So congratulations, everyone. So on May the 15th, I was invited to a Zoom meeting with the outgoing president, Lori Folsom, and incoming LEA President Lindsay Buck, and the purpose of the meeting was relationship building. So we had a great conversation. And on May 20th, I attended a roundtable discussion sponsored by Kansas Association of School Boards Leadership Services, and it was really nice to have an opportunity to meet in a virtual setting with breakout rooms and small groups to network and speak with other fellow board members across the state. And it was even more exciting to have the opportunity to share some success stories from our districts on how we navigated this COVID pandemic and switching to a virtual environment for our students. So it was fun. It was really good. And it was very educational. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to attend that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Erica. Anyone else?
This is Paula. Just a quick update. It sounds like there's a lot of overlap in what we've attended. So I also met with LEA incoming Lindsay Buck, met with the policy committee that Shannon already went over. I also attended the Kansas Association of Native American Education. And we have two district staff, Jennifer Scotton from Billy Mills Middle School. She's a librarian who's participating on that. And Jennifer Atokney was elected to her second term, I believe, as vice president of that group. And Dr. Frida Gipp of Haskell Indian Nations University, she's working with American Indian Alaska Native youth in our district on a free program called Charting Your Course. So she is going to still be pursuing that and somehow tie that into KNA. But also I wanted to bring attention to that there is a survey that's going out to get a bigger picture of what American Indian and Alaska Native youth education looks like in the state of Kansas and Nebraska. So I believe the convener of that has met with Jennifer Atokney. I want to make sure that that is put out and kind of hopefully we get an opportunity to see the results of that study. And I also met with the Peasley Academic Committee. So they have, all of their classes have resumed and they are at 95% of attendance. I think that's it.
Thank you, Paula. Yes, I want to say kudos to Lori Folsom and Lizzie Buck for ensuring that Lindsay had the opportunity to meet with as many board members as possible. And I thought it was like a nice getting to know you and getting to know her vision as she takes that role of president. Any other board members? Kelly? Make sure you take mute.
Can you hear me now? Yes, okay. I just have a couple of quick things. Dr. Stubblefield assisted the policy committee in getting additional review on the equity policy that Melissa and Shannon and I have been working on to some extent since early fall. And the feedback was really great, actually, and there's lots of things that we can incorporate. So we will be taking that feedback from district leaders with expertise in equity and inclusion and including that in the best way that we can into the policy, and then putting that back out to our committees and district leadership who have advisory missions related to equity and inclusion. So I feel like we're getting to a space where we're in that critical next step of trying to get it right. And so just wanted to say that will be coming to the board hopefully shortly. Our goal, or my internal goal that I've expressed to Melissa's worked so hard on it, is to get it through before her term as president is completed, and hopefully we can get it there, but it might take a little bit longer depending on when those committees meet, and wanting to make sure that they have opportunity to convene and discuss the updates, but just wanted to acknowledge Melissa's hard work in that area. And then the other update that I wanted to give just really quickly, negotiations meets again on negotiations meets
Tomorrow, maybe?
yeah, tomorrow at 1, which is an unusual time, but just to say that it's a significant meeting. I think we'll probably be wrapping up some loose ends and hopefully have some direction that we can take to the board shortly around what we might be considering for next year's contract. And it's, as always, that committee is is a space where board members can learn so much about district administration, about the LEA's membership's perspective. And so certainly I encourage, if you can attend, to come. And then I wanted to say that I have received some communication from paras who are working toward potentially requesting union status. I don't know that they've met it yet, and maybe they've outreached to some of the others of you too, but just to kind of put that on the radar, that we'll begin to see additional conversations from our paras around how we can better support them professionally, and likely in terms of compensation as well, even though we have some you know, it's a challenging world right now in terms of budgets for public education. So those are my primary updates, and look forward to working with you all on both of those issues.
Thank you so much, board members. There's nothing else. We will move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those that are considered routine and are adopted by one motion unless any board member or the superintendent requests that an item be removed. The item or items removed are voted on separately. I have a motion.
Hi, this is Carol.
Okay.
I move the Board of Education adopt the items listed on the consent agenda.
Second. I'll second.
Yeah,
Okay, GR second.
I'll second.
Erica Hill,
Yes.
Kimball,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Kadu Blackwood,
Yes.
Bordenhouse.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. At this time, we will have Zach Conrad, Executive Director of Research Evaluation, Accountability, and Information Technology, along with David Vignery, Director of Technology, for a tech. Oh, sorry. Yes, Kelly, I keep doing that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. We wanted to recognize the district staff who are retiring this year, and just as I went to recognize them, my list closed up. There are 3 retirements. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. They came back up. Donald Dawson has 16 years of service to the district. Larry Carter, 23, and Georgianne Ann Keener has 9 years of service. And thank you all very much for your years of dedication to our district and to the students and staff that you've served.
Thank you, Kelly. I'll get it right at the last last meeting. So at this time we have a technology update, and when Zach and David are ready.
Zara getting there set up to the board and to the community. What you will hear tonight is from 2 of our departments, and I would say 2 of our stellar departments, technology and communication, that really stepped up in a major way during our continuous learning plan, our COVID-19. So these 2 reports, what you will hear obviously is what the both departments have been working on over the past year. But they'll also share some highlights as it relates to COVID-19, and then what potentially the future may look like. So I'll turn it over to Zach and David.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. I appreciate those kind words. We have worked very hard during this time period, and I appreciate that. I'd like to thank the board for allowing us to present this update. that we had. And so you can see that there's 4 areas that we specifically wanted to focus on. And I'll turn it over to David to talk about the budget work.
Yeah, so first off, the budget. And as we looked at this, it really became an issue of looking at how technology is ever changing. So really, as we look at that ever changing world, we also have to continue to look at the budget and assess that and make sure that our expenditures are being spent in the right area. So as we looked at that, we first went to the finance department. We started going, looking at the budget, going line by line through that budget for the last 3 years. And that really opened up a whole world of information for both Zach and myself to be able to understand not only what was being spent on a continual basis, but what we could look at as far as reducing, because moving forward, we may not have to have that expenditure in that area, but also it allows us to also look at our plans that we're talking about in the future and how those can become necessary items in our budget. And so our goal with this was to be able to comb through the budget, reduce those, not waste, because everything that we've done in the past had some necessities to it. It's just a different time frame. But to reduce those expenditures and to be able to then walk into the finance department or IT to be able to operate year to year. And then what we want to do is maintain that budget and stay within that budget.
One of the other points is reorganization within the technology department itself. We wanted to explore all of the current job descriptions within the organization. So what we wanted to do was look at the job first and the position second and define each job description and those tasks so that we could understand what we needed, that we had, and what we don't need. And in doing so, we wanted to make sure that we're utilizing each position to its fullest, but also maximizing the talent that we had within the organization. So looking at cross-training, looking at building through professional development, training, certification. So wanted to build both capacity within the individual, but also within the position. And in doing that, we have 5 staff positions that we have wanted to realign their job descriptions to better fit the tasks that we were asking them to do, what we needed them to do, and what they were capable of doing. We also have, we saw a little redundancy in there, and so we wanted to combine 2 positions into 1 position, freeing up the ability to backfill a position we lost in January. Business system analyst. So we didn't want to add anything, but we did want to find ways to maintain what we had. We also added 3 employees from other departments. Really felt like they would add a lot of value. Their jobs overlap a lot, and we can cross-train and build capacity. They can take on a few additional tasks and distribute work better. And then we have also been looking at reorganizing the way that our building techs support each building so we can maximize the support we can offer to building techs. Now, some of those changes are temporary fixes because we're moving into some uncertain times. So we don't want to add strain to the budgets, but we do want to be considerate, conscious that, you know, we are headed into some uncertain times within the budget. And so we want to temporarily at least shift so we don't lose the support that we have going.
And then the next bullet there is device refreshes for the middle school. Outside of doing work orders and taking phone calls with our support side, one of the biggest tasks we've had getting into the buildings when we can and being socially distancing and following all those guidelines is taking care of the iPad refresh. In February, the board approved 4,500 iPads for the refresh of our 4 middle school student devices. And so this was a big project. And so what we have done is we have set it up in the big multi-purpose area over here. We've unpacked them, we've inventoried them, put asset tags on them, we've cased them, put the protective cases on them, and that is the stage we're just about complete with. And so moving forward from there, we will go start putting the images on the devices and get the software and everything students will be required to have and use as the fall comes. Normally, the process would have been the students would have returned the devices at the end of the school year, but as you heard from Dr. Lewis, we're allowing them to have over the summer to continue to have virtual learning and be challenged in any way that they see fit. And so we're going to be doing the refresh in the fall when the students come back into the classrooms or back into the building in whatever form or fashion we do that. So at that time, they'll bring their old devices. We'll trade their old devices out for the new devices, and then that refresh will be complete. So that being a big task, we're still going on it, but it's been quite the fun with the staff coming in and learning how to do all of this away from each other.
Well, a lot of sore thumbs. Taking those cases apart, bring them back together. One of the benefits that we had coming in January is the survey, the ESC survey, was just going out for the first semester, and so we were able to look at those results and put our brains together on how we can use those results to better service building administrators. And so overall, you can see in the report that IT had an overall score that was above 4 on a scale of 1 to 5. We were pleased with that. But on one of the questions, question 12, ESC staff, administrators, and others effectively collaborate with me on issues that affect me. We actually, our department received the lowest average score out of any department on that question. That was a concern of David and mine, that we want to rectify that through building meetings. Every opportunity we can to at least inform them of the decisions and why, but include them in on those decisions when we can. One of the highlights is we actually had the highest average score out of all the departments on question 13. ESC's staff provided me with the needed resources to accomplish effective teaching and learning in my building. David and I are both competitive people. Dare I say, very competitive people. We'd like to be the best on all of these. And so we take this feedback to heart, and we want to do the best we can to help our building administrators continue to all the resources that they do. I believe that we have plans going forward to make sure that happens. And so when we move on to the next slide, a few months into our stint in the IT department, COVID hit. It threw some curveballs at us. We needed to make some quick adjustments. One of the first things we had to figure out was the communication. We had to keep communicating with our families, our students, our staff. So we pushed out the Jabber app on all staff devices. This allowed staff to receive email notifications when they receive voicemails on their district telephones. It also forwarded all calls that they're receiving on their district phone to their device, so they can answer phones there from parents and students. But it also allowed them to make calls from the Jabber app to parent devices, parent cell phones, family cell phones, so that they did not have to expose their personal number in the process. One of the other things that we did is we agreed to support both Zoom and Google for virtual meetings. Some teachers were more familiar with Zoom, some more familiar with Google Meet. Instead of choosing one and streamlining that, we understood that it was going to be complicated for everybody to make the shift. We wanted to support them in whatever they were most comfortable with. On the report, you can see the chart, the number of virtual meetings there. One of our concerns in looking at this chart is I'm positive we had more Zoom meetings than that. But unfortunately, I don't believe that we captured it because most of our Zoom were happening outside of our district account. That's a big security risk for us, as we've seen in the news. And so that was one concerning thing that came up in the numbers. But we've been tracking everything that we can as far as how many meetings have been taking place. We also adjusted our calling tree to make sure that everybody was getting the support that they need. So when you called the help desk, you had some options. Instead of getting somebody like CJ on the help desk, you had some options there, and that would reroute you to the most appropriate building that support any of your needs. And you can see that in the report as well, the letter that we sent out and how that was organized. We also had building techs available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We staggered their start so that we could have a full day, full 12 hours of service for those families that need it. We also were able to step up to the plate, and our team just did a really dynamic job of switching things up. Our work orders increased quite a bit. 72% increase from January to March 13th, and then March 16th to present, it increased by 72%. These numbers were very much similar to what a start of a new school year would look like, but our building techs were not in person for most of them. And so they had the added difficulty of walking through a lot of the situation live, working through it over the phone. And so we also saw our phone calls increase 58% over the same time period. So you can see that we had a total phone calls of over 3,000 from March 16th. It really increased. Our staff did a phenomenal job of keeping these work orders solved quickly. One of the things about our work order ticket system, it doesn't give us the data quite what we want, and we're exploring other options there to switch our ticketing system to one that does give us a little bit more detail. One of the other things that we had to do in support was the hardware side of things. We had to hand out, and I say we, building administrators did an amazing job here supporting us in getting iPads to elementary schools. So kudos for them for organizing that, bringing the teachers in, getting all of those devices handed out. We handed out devices to 48 admin assistants so that they could continue work at home, and we also did device exchanges. Staff was kind enough to set up those exchanges once a week, sometimes more than that, to make sure that the students had a working device in their hands and teachers had a working device all the time. Some of them really sacrificed to make sure that happened. So I can't thank our team enough for the job that they did.
So, looking at the future, as Zach said, we are competitive, but we're also very excited about the future. We see technology being a major player as part of our success in learning. And so, looking at that, one of the aspects that we are looking at is WebEx. We're excited about introducing WebEx as the district platform. After July 1. And some of the main reasons for that, Zach kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's really, WebEx has some intense security background. And so behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that we like about that. It's going to protect not only our video productions and stuff like that, but also protect our students and our staff as trying to continue to learn virtually. And so that's really a big deal. But the other area would be the analytics that WebEx also supports. Okay, so when we're looking at virtual school or virtual learning, we still have the
need to find out how long students have been on for seat time and those types of things. And and then office hours for teachers to be able to have the ability to set office hours and to be able to visit and help students out. These things can all be done through a management system that WebEx offers. And so those are the big areas for that. There's 4 areas that WebEx offers to us in a package. One is WebEx Meeting Center, which that's what we're using today. So we have that, and that's for small group to medium-sized groups, and we can collaborate and all of those things. Another area would be the WebEx, the WebEx Training Center. Okay, this is where we're starting to understand it more and more every day, but we're also understanding that this might be where the teachers kind of live. Okay, what it does is it allows you to use multimedia and audio and video in your presentations to the students. It also allows the students to have breakout sessions where you could send these students to a breakout session and let them collaborate on something while other students are doing the same thing in another breakout session. Then you can bring them back together as a class in the whole and have those conversations and things moving forward. It also allows you to run tests, put tests up there and take polls and get different feedback. And all of that data is collected in the analytics so you can look at it later. So that's a really cool package there. WebEx Event Center, that's for large groups. So let's say Dr. Lewis wants to address the whole district in the fall, but we're not together. He can do that through WebEx Event Center, and we have total control of who gets to see that and who gets to talk in that and all of that. So that's for really large groups. Fact is, we used it a couple of times this last week with a couple of elementary recognitions.
Fifth grade promotions
and things. So that went well. And the last one is WebEx Support Center. That's something that's going to be really benefit us as an IT staff. You heard Zach talk about our tech support people were at home, kind of in the blind sometimes, just talking on the phone with staff and students, trying to help them figure out their issues. What this will allow us to do is we can open up a session with them and we can jump on their laptop right there or their iPad or whatever, and we could actually take control of their device and fix the issues. We can reboot things and do all of that stuff, which will allow us to minimize the support that we need to be on site, but also minimizes the downtime the students are going to have so we can have more learning going on instead of downtime. So that's really, in a nutshell, the WebEx area that we're really excited about moving forward with. Another area that I want to visit about is security. It's always been kind of a priority in my world since I've been an IT director for the last 18 years. And this is really a concerning time for me. As we enter this unknown, we're seeing some drastic changes in the threats that are coming around. And one of them is, since March, there's been a 600% increase in phishing attacks, okay? And another one is 6 times the cyber attacks on online threats in the last 4 weeks, okay? And those are just drastically big time changes. You know, we're a school district, we're not a bank, we're not a hospital, but we still have valuable information, and we need to protect that valuable information. And in order to do that, we need to have the tools to be able to do that. The thing that we've noticed is when they're on site, all the 14,000 devices that we have are on site, they're checking in and they're doing things with programs we have currently running in our network. But now that they're 100% off-site, we have some hidden spots that we're working through and trying to figure out how we continue to maintain our quality of security and protection. So there's some investigating going on, and there's some conversations going on about different software out there and stuff that will most likely be coming back at some time to talk about that. But it is a concern, and we know it, so it's also a very big priority on our end. Last thing that I wanted to bring up is this year we're doing the middle school refresh. Next year are our 2 high school refreshes. They have MacBook Airs at this time. They'll be 4 years old at the end of this next year, and we will be going through that refresh for them. What we have chosen to do as an IT staff is we have chosen to not only just get those ready, but to step back and look just like we did with the budget and bring in a committee and evaluate those devices and evaluate other devices to make sure that we are making the right choice for our students and staff moving forward. We may end up in the same boat we are right now with the devices that we have, which is fantastic as long as we prove that out. And so, we just want to be diligent about what we're doing and making those decisions. So there will be more to come about that also as we continue to get that committee together and move forward on that. So that pretty much sums up our presentation tonight.
I had one more thing I forgot to mention, sorry. We've had some community partners that have really helped out during this time period, especially with internet access. So I wanted to acknowledge the support that we got from Midco in providing internet access to students who did not have it. And they have been a terrific partner in that, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Do we have any questions? What questions do we have?
Any questions?
This is Carol. I don't have any questions per se, but like as I've said, I've been out, I've been, handing out sack lunches, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from the families and the students who are very grateful to get those devices over the summer. So it may be something that we may need to continue in the future, something to ponder. So thank you for your diligence, and I apologize. I've been referring people to you guys.
They have problems with that, their devices. Thank you, Midco.
GRC.
Yeah. So the only question that I would have would be around. So you talked about the current ticketing system doesn't give you the data that you want, and you're looking at options that would give you more data. What can you give us an example of some of the data that you can't get today that you're looking to be able to retrieve out of your help desk tickets?
Sure. One of the areas, GR, is the customization of the product we have. What I would like to do is I'd like to be able to run a report on a particular device out of our inventory and find out how many work orders were on that device, because that's going to help us understand do we have a device that needs to be replaced, or do we have a person that needs more training? And both can very, very easily happen. But what we want to do is be able to I want to plan ahead instead of reactive. So in order to do that, we've got to be able to understand those trends. And so that's just an example of one area. Another great area in the new systems that we're looking at is when we have a device, let's say, GR, you have a device that's broken and we have to order a part. It's going to be a month for that part to come in. In our old device or our old system, the clock's ticking, okay? So it doesn't give us a really good, it's kind of skewed on the time frame that it took to fix it. What we can do in the new systems that they have out, we can place you in a holding pattern. It's being ordered, and then once that comes in, we pull you back out and we finish the product. It gives us more of a true sense of how much time we're actually spending on repair of your device.
Yep. So newer systems. So you're talking about being able to basically stop the clock, having certain actions that stop the clock and certain actions that start the clock again. I got you.
Yeah. And we also have the ability to put costs in there if we want to, and those types of things to better understand, what our repair is also. Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I have a comment as well. Just thank you to Zach and David for just your hard work. I happened to be on the bus parade with you the first day, and when we weren't cheering on the students and staff, I know I heard y'all talking shop and just all the hard work that you put into it and the efficiency and just thinking about like the job first and then like bigger picture and then iron out the small but important parts. So I really appreciate the hard work and dedication you are doing right now to ensure the safety and security of our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa, this is Shannon. I had 2 questions I wanted to ask. One question is around the mention that you made about Midco and the support that they've provided, and I appreciate hearing about that. It's really heartening to know that our community partners have stepped up to help us out during this time. Do we have a sense of what lingering access gaps our students are experiencing, and what, if any, steps you might think that the board needs to take to address that as we move forward to the fall?
So we have been planning on additional hotspots as the need arises in the fall. But we have also been continuing the conversation with Midco. Midco will continue to provide internet service for our students that qualify for free and reduced lunch at a free cost. And so I think that between our hotspots and Midco, we'll be able to fill the gap, if not all of it, very close to all of it.
That's really wonderful to hear, and I appreciate that. The other question I had to do with training, and just, I guess there's kind of 2 components to it. One is around, for students and parents, we all had to kind of learn on the fly as we went into virtual learning this spring. If our continuous learning, or if our learning plan in the fall does include some sort of virtual component, are we thinking about how we can make training or tech support videos or something available for students and parents, beyond calling the helpline, which is wonderful and very helpful. I had to access that resource a couple of times, but just in terms of supporting our families with using some of the virtual resources that we've pushed out to students. Where are we with that? And then kind of related to that, what, if any, training might be available for board members to participate in going forward?
Yeah, I know that we have a video library being put together with our Power School team for parents. This was a big need, especially during the enrollment process and registration. And then our tech support, especially on the Google side, Joe has been terrific about putting out those trainings, videos, and support. We'd love to be able to make a just go to page that has all that stuff linked to it. I know that our help desk individuals have links at the bottom that have walkthroughs. Boone is fantastic about putting those just frequently asked questions at the bottom of his email, every email, that everybody can refer to reference. So we're trying to be very mindful of that training. And then moving forward, as David mentioned, we'll have specific trainings that will be with everybody as well.
Yeah. And as we look at WebEx, another thing that we can benefit from that is when we do our trainings, we can do them on WebEx, record them, and WebEx also comes with a transcript. Okay, so you can listen to it, but you can also read it. Okay, and you can transcribe that in different languages. So so that's kind of a benefit that we'll have. So as we all realize as we're sitting that the way we're going to do training is going to drastically change. And, yes, we have to sit down, we have to figure that out, but we are having those conversations.
And part of the WebEx training is also with the transcript portion, you can type the word that you're looking for. So you don't have to, if it's a 30-minute training, you don't have to try to locate it, but you can search the words that you're looking for within that training, click on it, and it'll take you straight to that portion that you want to watch. So there's some nice features in there for training purposes.
That's very helpful. Thank you for that information.
Yes, thank you. Any more questions, board members? Once again, thank you for your time and a thorough report.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll let, we have one more report, a communications report with Julie Boyle, Executive Director of Communications, and her team, Rachel and Jessica.
As Julie is setting up, I wanted to read some feedback from our continuous learning plan survey. I think this is definitely attributed to the work that the board has done in providing our students with devices. And this is a parent comment, and they stated that the iPads that were sent home to use at home was and is very generous of the school district for the students. The iPads work great, and we have not had any technical or internet complications with it and the service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're ready to hear from our communications department.
I hope so.
Good evening. I am Julie Boyle, Executive Director of Communications for Lawrence Public Schools. You've heard that a few times, I think, from me. I would like to add my thanks to Zach and David in our Technology and Innovation Department. They have really been great partners with our communications team, and they have been at the top of their game during the pandemic. They have amazing staff, and I appreciate all that they have done under these extreme circumstances to keep us connected with our staff and families. They have really elevated their game, and I appreciate them very much. Thank you for the opportunity to share what our communications team has been up to in 2019-2020. And I want to start by introducing our team. This is my 22nd year with Lawrence Public Schools in this position.
And fun fact, prior to joining the district, I worked for 6 years in the newsroom as an education reporter for the local radio stations. So this is my 28th year attending school board meetings in Lawrence. So I think that should be on a plaque somewhere. I've always told people and felt I love my job. But one of the things that I have learned during the self-isolation period of the last 2 months is that what I really love is the people with whom I work, because they make the job enjoyable, and I really miss
them. And I enjoy seeing you just even on the screen, because I've not been around people that much, and it's nice to be together again. Two of the finest people that I get to work with are Rachel Thomas and Jessica Rodriguez. Rachel made this department of one a team 2 years ago when she joined the district as our communications specialist. That was a game changer for me personally. You can imagine 20 years by myself, having somebody to collaborate with and share ideas with, how wonderful that has been for me, but it also has been a game changer for our communications program. Rachel, I call her our chief storyteller. I have asked her not to be in her office, but to be in the schools, taking video and taking photos and sharing the story of what the strategic plan looks like in action in our classrooms. What are your students doing during the day? Rachel tells that story. She also oversees all of our social media platforms. She is very warm and friendly and has immediately connected with our staff and our students, and she's also very smart and creative. So I want to let Rachel come on and tell you a little bit more about herself.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see your pixelated faces this evening. I am always excited to present to the board. I've been here, this is my second full school year in the district. It seems like a lot longer, but it is not. And I have a real passion for public education. I believe in the power of strong public education, and it is both a professional passion and a personal passion of mine. I volunteer with Junior Achievement and recently Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lawrence. So I have a little that is in the district, and also the Lawrence Latinx Youth Council, because I just want to be as involved in the community as possible to help my role here, but also just to serve as best I can. So I'm excited to tell you more later about social media and the ways in which we've grown in communications, especially our online communications later. So stay tuned, I guess.
And in July, the district receptionist position was moved into our team, and we have benefited from the addition of Jessica Rodriguez to our team. I call her unofficially the district's director of first impressions. And I kid you not, there is no one more dedicated and loyal to Lawrence Public Schools than Jessica. She is such a hard worker. She is only happy when she is busy. She is very sick of being at home. She wants to be here in her job. She'll tell you that, I'm sure. But she always reaches out to other departments if she's got a slow time, and I don't know that there is a slow time answering the phone and helping guests to our building, but she's always doing projects for other departments while she's sitting at her desk, because she does have to stay at her desk, so she likes to keep her hands busy when she's not answering the phone or helping a guest. So I want Jessica to tell you a little bit more about herself.
Thank you, Julie, for the kind words. I'm Jessica Rodriguez, and I've had the opportunity to work for USD 497 since July 11th. That'll be my anniversary date. I feel very fortunate to be a part of this great team with Julie and Rachel, and I've had the great opportunity of meeting wonderful people within the district. I've also had the opportunity to welcome new board members as they come through the doors of USD 497, welcome guests and visitors as they come through our door, and I hope I project a good representation of what our USD 497 represents within the community. I am the Health and Wellness Coordinator for the district office, and I have the pleasure of working with everyone within the building, providing them wellness information. So with that, I'll turn it over to Julie.
Thank you both.
Stay close. We'll be back with you. So Dr. Lewis has asked us tonight to focus on highlights, challenges, and some next steps. And I hope that you had time to review our written report. There is a lot of information in that about our team, our roles, our budget, our program, our goals this school year, the progress that we made on those goals, and then looking ahead, what we're looking forward to. So this presentation is just a snapshot of what you can get a lot more information in reviewing the written report. Our goals this year built on the success that we had last year, introducing a new superintendent to the community and vice versa, the community to a new superintendent. The development of the strategic plan through the listening and learning tour. We were on the tour at all of the stops and listened to everyone, but particularly our students, when they said that they wanted the strategic plan to be something that is understandable to them. They were hearing some of the information being talked about and said, I don't know what that means. So I took that to heart and looked at what our teams were bringing us in terms of language for the plan and revised the language, taking out some of that education ease that kind of creeps in around here, and trying to make sure that the language was something everyone could understand and make sense. Rachel did the graphic design on our strategic plan, and I had brought back to Dr. Lewis an idea from a national conference for a one-page strategic plan because I wanted people to read it. A lot of people won't read something if it's multiple pages and has a lot of text, and so I was visiting with Rachel about that, and she had a sample and showed me the sample of a pocket guide. So that's what we ended up doing. We created this pocket guide to the strategic plan. I hope that you've all seen it and read it. I think that you have, and you've helped us pass it out too. So then we needed somebody to print it, and we had a tight deadline. We wanted it ready for fall convocation. We went to a lot of printers, and nobody could fold it. Nobody wanted to print it on this kind of quality stock paper. So we asked our print shop. I didn't think that they would be able to do it, but they could. They weren't able to fold it for us, but they were able to score it for us. But our print shop is awesome. They are so willing to help and figure out how to get problems solved, and that's exactly what they did. We printed 15,000 of these, and Jessica and a couple of our food service staff that needed some additional hours during the summer folded all 15,000, collating them into groups so we could pass them out of 25 or 30. So I very much appreciate that effort. Rachel also created a magazine. All board members received the magazine. It has year one action steps that obviously couldn't fit into the pocket guide and is a very attractive magazine graphically. We gave this to all board members and all administrators who oversee the work of the strategic plan. And everything that we have done this year, our website, our publications has focused on the strategic plan. This is our May newsletter that was in the Lawrence Journal World, and it focuses on the strategic plan with articles about classroom learning that fall into that area of the plan. We met our goal of convocation, passed it out, the pocket guide, to all staff, and also sent it home with all elementary students. We have found over the years that when we try to send things home with secondary students, they don't necessarily make it home. So we did not do that, but we did pass it out to our advisory groups, and a lot of you, when you have gone to civic groups or to speaking engagements or other groups, you've helped us distribute those plans, so I appreciate that. Along with this, with the pocket guide at convocation, we unveiled a new logo, and that was exciting for us. We worked with a local company, 3 Clever Broads, Janella Williams, to create the logo and brought together a focus group. Some board members served on that focus group, as did staff, students, and several of our community partners. And they selected our new logo, and we were excited to unveil it at the Lead Center during convocation. We've used a phasing out process to move from our former logo to our new logo. Obviously, our former logo still appears in several places. We are excited with the renovation of the ESC that new signage will be a part of that and include our new logo and brand. Along with our logo became branding standards. This district, as long as I've been here, has not had branding standards, how to consistently use the logo. So now we have those, and we have been sticklers. People are tired of hearing me say, no white box behind the logo, but there is no white box behind our logo. So we have that all in a Google Drive and have shared that link with staff so they can look at the branding standards guide and use the logo correctly. So I appreciate their patience with us on that. I've listed COVID both as a highlight and a challenge. As a highlight because of our work the past few months, I'm very proud of. The 3 of us have not seen each other in person since before spring break. And it is difficult as a team to work together when you are not together physically. So we have been in communication via email and phone calls and text, and I have tried to stay moving along as a team even though we have not been physically together. We have shared health and safety information, community resources, and all the decisions related to our services and support through the continuous learning plan. We were among, I think, the first in this area to have a coronavirus section on our website. We launched that in January when a suspected case of the virus at LMH Health was later ruled negative, but it still started raising questions and concerns among our school community. So we started pushing out the hand washing and covering your coughs and sneezes and all that good health and hygiene information on that coronavirus site. I'm going to go ahead and mention now, Joe Smizer looked up before the meeting for me that since March, our coronavirus site has had 4,800 unique hits. So I think that shows that people are using it, and we have continued to put FAQs and all of our information in that central location and pushed it out that way. And then suddenly I saw all the other groups start having COVID-19 and coronavirus sites as well. So I'm proud of our work with that. When you review our written report, you will see some data points in the attachments. The continuous learning survey that was sent out to students and parents included a question about, the parent survey included a question about communication. And the results showed that elementary and middle school parents were 95% and 90% respectively satisfied with district and building communication. Over 95% and 90% satisfied. That's amazing to me during the circumstances that we are under, the difficulty in communicating with staff and families when they are not in our schools, that high of a percentage of our parents said that they were satisfied with communication. I'm very, very proud of that number. The high school parent survey wasn't available at the time that I was creating this report, but I will get that to you as well when it is. Zach mentioned the annual ESC survey. That is our principals sharing their feedback about the support that we provide them here at the ESC. Our customer service score in the communications team was an average of 4.75 out of 5. So when Zach says he's competitive and wants to be the highest, we're the team to beat. 10 out of the 13 questions, we had the highest average score from our principals. And I take great pride in that because I place a priority on support for the superintendent and support for our building principals. If we're in the middle of doing something and they need something, we stop what we're doing and we help them because we know the important role that they play in our district. So very proud of those numbers. The K-12 Let's Talk Contact Us summary, that's for everyone. All of our administrators, all of our administrative assistants, and a lot of our ESC staff are involved with fielding those questions and concerns that come in through that Contact Us tab on our website. But we looked over that summary and it shows the usage rates and the types. You'll see that in the written report, as well as national data, all of the school districts across the country who have that platform. Our customer service score is 9 out of 10, which slipped a little bit from last year, but is still higher than the national median of 8.2. And our response rate, we have a goal to answer those questions and concerns within 48 hours. Our response rate is the best in the nation on that report, 1.7 days, meeting our goal, beating our goal of 48 hours turnaround time. So that is something to be very proud of this district, and that's not just the communications team, that's everyone involved with answering Contact Us and using Contact Us. You can also see in that report that parents are the greatest, using the system the most. You can see what questions and concerns and keywords that are coming through. So I would encourage you to take a look at that report. It's very interesting. I hosted training for all of our new administrators, and we had quite a few this year, in School Messenger, our notification system. And its usage report is with our written attachments as well. The number of phone calls are up this year, 46,000 from School Messenger, and the number of emails increased 474,000. A caveat with that is that now all of our teachers are going through the School Messenger system because it is connected to PowerSchool. So that makes the big difference there. But that is used not only for emergencies, but also general outreach. Our attendance calls and our low balance calls for food service come through School Messenger, and obviously snow days. So that high usage numbers there. To brag on us just a little bit more, Rachel and I received 3 certificates of excellence in the KASB, Kansas School Public Relations Association, publications contest, and we were doubly excited to receive those from Shannon Kimball as president of KASB, so that was a nice surprise. And to brag on Rachel a little bit more, she was selected by CANSPRA with the statewide honor of Newcomer of the Year. As past president, I got to see those nominations, and her nominations came from districts across the state, and she was unanimously selected for that award, so I'm very proud of her for that. And I am going to let Rachel share some of highlights from this year for social media.
One of the other attachments that you'll see in our written report is our social media growth. So we were able to meet or exceed almost all of the goals that I set last year for our social media growth. Two of the biggest highlights were our followers. We grew by about 1,700 followers on our district Facebook account and about 1,000 on Twitter and Instagram. And for the age of our Twitter and Instagram accounts, that's a really big deal. And that's a fantastic benchmark to be hitting right now. The only goal we did not hit was our Facebook engagement rate growth, but I think that's because Facebook recently changed their algorithm, and I think we're just seeing the effects of that now. So it's a good time for us to look at what's working and adjust accordingly. The other place that social media has really grown is in our schools. We have had 20 new school social media accounts, official ones across all platforms, which was a huge success for me. And the other thing that they have been just doing wonderfully is focusing on more educational content on their pages. Last school year, we met with all administrators and we challenged them to post about what they're doing during the day. And so we have seen a shift from a lot of the important fundraisers and PTO events to the reading in the classroom and the PBLs and all of the fun things and the important things that our buildings are doing. And I think that has also increased the amount of content they're pushing out. I think our administrators have been really excited about that challenge. A lot of them really ran with it. And so we've seen more consistent communication on social media platforms, which I think was such a good foundation to hit early on. So when the pandemic came about, a lot of our schools were using their social media accounts to communicate and engage their school families with virtual spirit weeks and story times, read alouds, things of those nature to keep some sort of social atmosphere and connection going throughout the pandemic. I've also been able to meet one-on-one with at least 50 staff members this school year to do training on social media, and I'm hoping to continue that training this next school year. Our philosophy in our department is to educate and empower our staff, especially on social media best practices and photo and video usage best practices. And that is an ongoing project that I have and that I enjoy doing. I was asked to speak to the School of Education at KU this past December to talk to last final year students who are about to graduate, or well, just graduated this month and are about to enter the education field on social media. And that was a really exciting experience. I was able to connect with a lot of hopeful teachers in our district about what they could do on social media and how to connect with their parents with those platforms. The other thing, the other big part of my job is creating mini snapshots in our building. So Julie mentioned that I'm not often in my office. I'm usually out in schools doing photo, video, and then just continuing my relationships with our administrators and our staff. That has been such a great touch point. If something is going wrong with school social media pages or just lending a hand in some building communication, I've been able to be on site and facilitate those needs. I've been able to share about 650 photos and videos publicly, and you'll see some of those throughout this presentation. On the screen right now, we have some really important topics that I've been able to capture. we have the big photo here is one of our redesign challenges. This is students from Broken Arrow, Hillcrest, and Deerfield at Deerfield Elementary doing the Think Wrong Challenge, which was a partnership with KU that challenged the students to create a perfect school and what that would look like. And that was really engaging and fun to see some of our littlest students be able to articulate the needs that they feel like are there and are lacking in our schools. The top right panel right there is Schwegler Elementary, a first grade class. They do buddy reading. So they pick a friend and they pick a book and they just go. And it's fun for me to see those types of instances, because sometimes when I'm in the classroom with our littlest kids, they see the camera and they are on. They smile. They're asking if I'm sending this to their mom. But so they are so good when I tell them, I'm here to capture what you're doing, just going right back to work. And this is one of those instances. In the middle is our bond construction. And that's something that Tony and I have been doing this whole school year, is making sure I'm able to go into the buildings and capture students using the spaces that we've been working on these last couple of years. This is one of my favorite pictures from Liberty Memorial. It's the top floor there. And what I like about it is it kind of looks like the renderings that the architectures give you when they're talking about the plans, but they're real life students using those spaces and enjoying it. And the bottom there is one of our many student achievements that I've been able to capture. This is the Battle of the Brains team that placed in the top 20 for their exhibit to be considered at Science City. So these types of instances I've been able to go throughout the district and capture, and also educate our staff and empower our staff to be capturing these instances in their building when I'm not able to be there as well. I've also partnered with various departments across the district. I mentioned Tony. We've been working with FNO to showcase our bond construction. Jose and the high school counselors and I launched a series called Come See Us, a video series that highlights their service. That came out of the survey that we did last school year when we asked students about student services, and many said that they didn't know what services were offered in the student services departments in their schools. So I interviewed all counselors, social workers, psychologists in both high schools, and they just said one example of a service, compiled the videos, and we were able to show that to students and to parents and school families during parent-teacher conference and other important touch points. And then Sean Hansen and the high school and middle school counselors and I did a video for incoming freshmen. So 8th graders and their respective counselors, when they start talking about high school electives and their choices and paths, they can watch this video and see some of the options that they have next school year. So they can have an idea in mind before they enroll, when their high school counselors come to the schools and talk about choices for them. And then I worked with the high school graphic design class with Michelle Salmons at Free State High School. She has a project-based graphic design class that just started this past school year. And so we've worked on informational posters about vaping and about student services to get a student perspective on those important issues to communicate with our students. And it has just been a joy, working with our staff members, our students, our community members on these projects. I feel really fortunate to tell these stories, and I'm excited to continue telling them this summer and next school year. So I'll turn it back to Julie.
I'm going to turn it right back to Jessica. Do you want to share some highlights from your school year? Click your microphone to unmute.
A busy time with calls and everything. During this COVID-19, I have had the opportunity to volunteer at Billy Mills with the school lunches, which I felt very fortunate to do that a few weeks. Like Julie said, I'm very anxious to get back to work, to see my coworkers and see the parents come into the office and see our changes as they are being made. And I look forward to a successful summer.
On to challenge.
So obviously everything is not sunshine and roses. COVID-19 appears on our challenges slide as well. I think the biggest issue for me personally has been the demand for communication and the demand for immediacy. We like as a team to plan, to be able to say, well, 2 weeks from now, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan, to focus on something. And that we have not been able to do that, obviously. Decisions have been made quickly. Things have changed quickly. We've had to communicate on the spot immediately. I even did some communicating from hotel lobbies during my spring break because the pandemic did not wait for us to return from that. So that's been very challenging for us, and we are a small team, but we've worked hard to meet the needs of the immediacy and the volume of information that folks have needed. Rachel stepped up during the pandemic. We really haven't had the time to send things to the translation and then wait and then get it back and then send it out. It needs to go out. So Rachel's even done some Spanish translation for us, which is above and beyond, and I so appreciate her for doing that. You can read more in our written report about our budget. That's always a challenge. It's very small, but we work very hard to stay focused on our goals, communicating the strategic plan and the goals and mission and vision of the school district. We get a lot of requests. I think a lot of people see us as Joe Photo. Come and take a picture of this. Come and take a video of that. We simply don't have time to do that a lot of the times. We will on occasion, but we have to say no a lot because we need to stay focused on our goals or we wouldn't get anything accomplished. And so we don't like saying no, but we have tried to keep mission creep away from our goals. It's always a challenge to keep 22 websites current. Joe Smizer works with us to help train website managers at all of our schools. Just a few years ago, we didn't even have school websites under the district umbrella. We had parent volunteers creating those. Then when your child aged out of that school, the school didn't have a website anymore. So it's fortunate now that we have them all under the same district umbrella, but it is an ongoing challenge to continue to train people. There is a lot of turnover. We did refresh the design of our website recently, and I think Joe has all the school sites updated now. But it is a constant beast that has to be fed and things that need to be changed, and it's just hard keeping up with all of that. I do think, though, the highest hurdle for us right now is encouraging parents and guardians to create their PowerSchool accounts and complete annual registration. This is something we used to do on paper, and I think that they just feel like they can ignore it and they don't need to do it. They know their kids are going to be able to come to school. We need everyone to do it. Dr. Lewis mentioned earlier, this is how we get accurate contact information on our families, up-to-date health histories, which is very important for our schools to have. We need all of our parents to review and sign permission forms for field trips and things. And we're also using this online form through registration to collect cell phone information for all parents and guardians in the district, as well as our high school students for the emergency texting notifications that we will launch next year. So we hope that that's a little bit of a carrot, that if you want to be part of our texting group, you need to complete your annual registration. But there are many reasons why we need everyone to complete that. We are about halfway there, about 5,500 as of last week, and that is a steep hill to climb. The Power School team has been awesome. Again, kudos to the technology department. Boone Krieger, Catherine Wilson, and Jeannie Williams in our enrollment center have worked so hard, many, many hours on annual registration. And the form itself is very easy to complete. I hope all of you have completed it. You too, Dr. Lewis. I don't have any kids, but some of you do. So they have just worked tirelessly to train our school staff, our office staff, our registrars, and our administrative assistants and secretaries so they can help parents, because we want to get this done this summer. We want to start the school year with this information in place. And we didn't do such a good job of that last year with the new transition to Power School. We continued to get annual registrations throughout the year, and we just can't do that. We need it done this summer. So our school staff are going to be reaching out to parents who haven't done that yet and trying to support them in getting that accomplished. So we hope that everybody will take that seriously and help us out. We're looking forward to the remodel here at ESC. Having 4 entrances and 2 buildings has never really been very good PR. People don't know where to come. They go in one entrance, but they need to be somewhere else, and someone directs them to that other place, but then they get lost on the way and they go to a second one, and it's just not good public relations. So the new main entrance between the 2 buildings that will funnel everyone through Jessica's friendly welcome and get them to the right place is going to be, I think, a huge public relations win for the district when that is done. I wanted to mention that we are working to reallocate some FTE, some existing FTE, so cost neutral, but to provide some additional support for the district receptionist position. Jessica needs a lunch break, and she needs to occasionally leave her desk and have some comfort breaks, and getting those things covered. We are working with the ELT to see if we can find some existing FTE to reallocate to help support us in that. So I look forward to getting that done next year too. Rachel, would you like to speak to any challenges?
Sure, thanks, Julie. I would just like to echo what Julie said. While I think I have learned and there's been a lot of personal, professional growth during the pandemic, it has been a real challenge to communicate during this time, particularly because information is just changing so rapidly. So sometimes what you said yesterday or an hour ago isn't the same message. And so well-intentioned parents and school families and community members that are paying attention may have paid attention to the last message and missed this current message. So making sure that everybody was on the same page took a lot more effort during the pandemic, and I think we've done a really good job. I know we definitely tried our best, and I am hoping that we're on the other side of this. The other thing that has been a real challenge for me this school year is controlling our online footprint and making sure that we're able to access and edit all online information that's available to any stakeholder in Lawrence Public Schools. So we have about 14 unofficial Facebook pages for some of our schools in the district. These pages were created because people were searching for the schools, and the amount of queries created a Wikipedia page. And then people searching on Facebook, there were a number of people searching for the school on Facebook, and so Facebook creates a page from a Wikipedia page, and none of that is edited or created by us. So I have been working since last summer to claim these pages. It's a pretty expensive process, and I made the mistake of getting married in the middle of it, so I had to restart the process because you have to prove your identity, and my identity changed a little bit when I got married. The other thing that I've been doing is claiming our Google My Business pages for all of our schools. I'm about a third of the way done in that project. These are the little panels at the side of the page. So if you Google For example, Prairie Park Elementary, hopefully you see their website, you see the district website, and then on the side, you see a couple pictures of the school, the information in the school, the hours, the principal, and information that is useful like that. And we're able to edit that panel and that information if I go in and claim all of the schools. And so I'm in the process of doing that. That has been a challenge just because it's a little tedious, but I'm ready to finish the work and have access to all of that information because I think it's really important that we're able to edit and see that information for our school families and potential school families coming into the district. And I will turn it back over to Julie.
Jessica, do you want to unmute and share any challenges from this school year?
No, all I can say is, again, I can't say enough about working with a great staff at USD 47 and just very, very happy with my job and look forward to coming back June 1st.
Let's try to keep Jessica away. It's not good. So I'm not going to read all of these, but here are a few of the things that are coming up. I did want to say how fortunate we are that we have a superintendent that's very communication and technology savvy, is out and about in the community in all of our buildings and posting things on social media platforms already. So that gives our communications team a big boost. So I appreciate that. That has not always been the case. So I've worked with a few superintendents.
Yeah. So I appreciate that about Dr. Lewis very much. So what's next? Sharing the summer and fall planning that our task force and committees are working on, a strategic plan year 2, some exciting launches, redesign in the College and Career Academy, annual registration we hope to have done before this school year starts, emergency text notifications will launch. We hope to never have to use emergency text notifications, but it will be a nice feature if we do have to use them. Updating the community again, Lawrence High construction will eventually be done, so that will be exciting for us to work on, and expanding our staff recognition program. As I mentioned, expanding that coverage of our district receptionist position and completing the ESC renovation will be a big boost here for the district office and helping with our customer service. As is our tradition, I want to pause on these beautiful photos that Rachel took. Rachel has created a celebrations video for the 2019-2020 school year. So I want to share that.
Lawrence Public Schools, make some
I don't know if there is sound for the people watching from home. There might be sound in the board room, but there's not sound for that. I can sing. Yes, there's a song really pretty behind it. I'm playing it in my head right now. There you go.
I was thinking, I got a feeling.
That's a good one. You're just so mesmerized.
If you're having any anxiety about things that are going on at home or at school, come see me. I'll hook you up.
Sorry if you had to provide your own music. We did practice, but I didn't know that that wasn't being shared. Okay.
It was so good.
Thank you. It was good. Thank you for letting us take that trip down memory lane. And we are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions. I'm still trying.
I don't know that I have a question. I just want to thank you guys for the work that you do and everything that you do. Being able to go to board meals, breakfasts, and lunches, and to have Julie there and to have students realize that that's who they're sitting next to is one of the highlights as a board member. And then I was able to send Julie a picture the other day. She earlier this year she taught in one of my kids' classes and wrote a little note to them that they then stuck inside their iPad case and kept it for the entire year. And then we have a picture set up in our house of like family photos and stuff, and they took a picture out of a frame of some of my children and put that note in the frame, and it's now within that collage of family photos at my house, this note that Julie wrote to my son. So I think you guys are fantastic and you do a great job. And on the recommendation of Zach, just to see who actually listens to the entire meeting, the new answer is 42.
Ah, nice.
So harsh.
Melissa, may I jump in?
Yes, go ahead.
So Julie and Rachel, and I just want to say to all three of you, you really are a recognizably phenomenal team. Like it's just amazing work that you do. So I just really appreciate it. And just to say a little bit, to expand a little bit further on what GR said, I was sitting next to a kid at a board breakfast, and I really wanted to engage with this. We were having breakfast. I wanted to really kind of endear myself to this child, and I said, what do I do? I'm the vice president of the school board, which was really not impressive. And so what I did say is, I'm here with Julie Boyle. And they did immediately, they were like, you could just lit up. They were like, you know Julie Boyle? So it was really great to be able to, I mean, he's not exaggerating. GR is not like, you are a really big deal in the district. Maybe maybe bigger than Dr. Lewis. I'm not sure, but you're really.
She is.
And so the question I wanted to ask is, I was reflecting on your presentation and thinking about like what are the things that you do or the strategies that you employ to help reach families that are less thinking about Zach's presentation and IT's presentation about what they do to outreach to families that have less devices, or how we are engaging them right now in this moment where everything's quite virtual. In your world, you know, you get feedback. Feedback, it really is phenomenal. Congratulations. How do you measure your work as it relates to families that may be less, less tuned in virtually?
We did.
Or by media.
Thank you, Kelly. We did provide paper packets at the beginning of the e-learning. I wish I could remember off the top of my head the number of those. There were quite a number of paper packets, and I know that we hear from a lot of people through social media who are on social media but do not have the connection to maybe, get an email or read a school newsletter online or go to our website, especially around the meal service. We were getting a lot of questions through social media. So that does reach people who may not have the desktop computer, if they could get that on their phones instead. I know the schools do a great job of sending paper newsletters home to those who have requested those or need those. And I know teachers do a
job of reaching out to all families and making sure that if they're sending something electronically, that everyone still gets the information if they are not receiving it electronically. We can see through School Messenger, anytime that we send a phone call or an email, we get a report that shows us if the student did not have an email in the system or a phone number in the system. And we teach our school secretaries and administrative assistants that data is great, useful data to follow up on and to make sure you're connecting with that family so they get the information in another way. Or maybe they have an email and it's just not on file with the school, or they have a phone number now and it's not on file with the school. So we ask them to follow up whenever they get those reports and they see no email on file or no phone on file. Those are some of the ways. Translation, we do a lot of translation through School Messenger. The tool that Zach uses for surveys has allowed us to translate surveys into multiple languages, and that's very important. And as I mentioned, even Rachel has stepped in to translate some things for us during the pandemic, so we wouldn't have to wait for the turnaround. Sometimes that takes a few days, and like she said, things were changing every hour. We didn't have 2 days to wait. So those are some of the ways that we try reaching all families.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually appreciate that framing. I had not considered. I think about you as Rachel doing so much communication. I had forgotten that we also need to think about at that school level how families are being reached and how you coordinate with their team to make sure that families get the information that they need right straight to the teacher in the classroom, which makes sense. Appreciate that so much.
Communication is absolutely a shared responsibility, and it takes everyone. Yeah. 3 of us cannot do it well for the whole district, 12,000 students and 2,000 employees. It's very powerful. I always say arm your PR army. That's why my priority is staff communication, because if our staff are informed, then they can tell 2 people, and that staff member can tell 2 people, and those 2 people tell 2 people, and those are your ripples that take the communication out. So I have always looked at staff communication as my first priority, making sure our staff are informed. They're our PR army.
That makes good sense. Thank you so much for your excellent work. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, Julie, thank you. Again, I just echo the other board members. Thank you so much for your hard work. And then kind of in addition to what you were saying, like how you rely on the staff, like I know some of us as board members have a Facebook page, for example, or Twitter that is geared towards being a school board member. I admittedly, since COVID, have not been updating it, but like, do you have any suggestions or preferences, like as we utilize that Facebook or if we utilize that Facebook page or Twitter account, do you have any recommendations? is it and how we use it.
I'm going to turn to our expert. Rachel, are you still on with us? I hope.
Yes, I am. I think one of the best things to do is just share our stuff. And I see a lot of you who have social media accounts doing that already. And when you share, adding your comments to it. I think on Twitter, it's retweet with a comment. On Facebook, it's share, and then you can type your message on the top. I think that just adds some more influence and personality to the message. Sometimes on social media, the district is seen as a faceless entity, but when you put faces to the message, it has more impact for our community. And so if we shared something, I mean, the last thing I shared was our summer meal services. And if Melissa or Shannon retweeted and said something like, I'm really excited to volunteer, or I'm really excited to see this effort, or something just to add to the message, helps amplify it more. And so that would be probably my highest recommendation on social media. It just helps us when we communicate if you help amplify.
Great, thank you.
I should have said when I said my priority is staff communication, my priority is board. I hope that, I don't want you to be
surprised by things. So we try to get anything that's happening to you first, so you're aware of it, because I know that you get questions and I don't want you to be blindsided by things that you don't know about. And Dr. Lewis and our team works very closely together to try to make sure that you have all the information that you need and you're not surprises. No surprises for the board, no surprises for the superintendent. That is one of our goals.
I think I would have to say I feel like you do that very well, and, especially with our situation and ever-changing information. So,
if you ever need talking points or help with something, please holler at us.
Melissa, this is Shannon. I had a comment and a question. Wanted to say I was so proud to be able to recognize Rachel and Julie and our communications team's work at the CANSPER conference last fall. That was really cool. I was so proud of them and our district. And I just wanted to say that I think that our work in this area has grown so much, and I'm really proud of where we are at. And I thank you for the great job you do. Anytime I have asked, as Julie said, for talking points or help with a presentation, y'all are rock stars, and I really appreciate that. And I do feel like you do a good job of keeping us informed so that we're not surprised, so that we know what's going on, and we are ready to respond to the community when they reach out to us. So thank you for that. My question is this, and it was prompted by something you said, Rachel, about the work that you're doing around having control over our social media footprint, and how hard it's been to kind of get control over those unofficial Facebook pages and the Google boxes. I'm really excited to hear that you're doing that work, because one of the things that I've noticed is that some of our social media footprint kind of extends beyond that, particularly those things, but also we have a lot of Twitter accounts for individual activities and programs within the district. And I guess I just bring that up because we've talked about it a little bit in policy in the past in terms of social media use and in our social media policies for the district. But I'm just wondering if kind of taking a look at that is on your horizon once you've cleared the hurdle of Google and Facebook pages and getting through all of that work, which I know is extensive.
We actually talked about it earlier this morning with Dr. Lewis, and I think that is something that we could consider. Julie and I have said that something that I think would help launch that next step would be a stronger social media policy. And it's nice to hear that you all have been talking about it. I know Dave and Julie and I have had some conversations about that, but just to tighten up some expectations and help our staff lay a foundation so we can launch to that next step, I think would be a critical first step before we move there. Julie, do you want to add? Oh, sorry, Shannon.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just asking if Julie wanted to add anything to that from our conversation.
I would agree that it's difficult once the cat's out of the bag to put the cat back in the bag. It would have policy before all the cats were, but it would be nice to have people and myself as administrators on all
school accounts. So if that person leaves, we can determine what to do with that account, and it's not out there, you know, without anyone's ability to use it. I agree that policy is kind of coming a little late on the social media, but one of the things Rachel did this year is create a directory of our social media accounts on our website. So families that were attending a certain school could look and see what accounts are associated, what official accounts are associated with that school. So I hope that that's helpful, but you're absolutely right. There are a lot out there and it will be difficult to rein them in. But some parameters would be good.
About that, and certainly as far as the policy committee goes, we, I believe, are stand ready to help with that, and have you give us guidance and advice about what would be helpful to you in terms of policy in that effort. I think a great example of one of the things I saw happen at the beginning of last year actually was Twitter accounts being used for making announcements to parents about important things that weren't shared on any other in any other way. And so, not every parent's on Twitter. I'm on it too much, but not every parent's on Twitter. And so I'm kind of thinking about it in terms of how do we provide guidance to our staff that want to use it, and about what things to think about when they are using it, what kind of information is appropriate to put out there on Twitter, and in what circumstances do you need to make sure you're communicating it in more than one way, I guess. So thank you for that. And I know it's a lot of work, so I really appreciate the efforts that you're making in that area.
Rachel does offer training. She trained all of LBS staff last year, and I've heard rave reviews about that training. She's worked with a lot of the administrators, working with staff on best practice, and like she said, to educate.
Empower them to do it themselves, but to do it in the correct way and the beneficial way for the district. So I appreciate her work on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just thinking maybe, I don't know, depending on how our board retreat goes, maybe that can be like a quick little presentation for us as board members. Any more
I'd be
questions?
happy and honored to do that.
That would be great. I would love it. Maybe we can add it to the agenda.
Yes. Any more comments, board members? Once again, thank you, Julie, Rachel, and Jessica, for your hard work and dedication. It's very beneficial for our community.
Yeah, I just want to echo that too, Melissa. It's just really truly an honor to work with them, and they really make me look good on several occasions. And so I'm really just appreciative of
the caliber of individuals that we have here, that when I'm out in the community, I hear positive things about, how well we communicate. And if you're part of any organization, typically that's probably the tough part of an organization, is to maintain that communication. But, and as Julie mentioned, at a time like this, with this pandemic, how we've still been receiving a lot of positive feedback from parents, community members, about how much they appreciate the level of communication, which I'll leave this last parent quote that says, "I am incredibly grateful to be a part of this district. I am also so thankful and grateful for everything that the teachers and admin and everyone else has been doing. I'm impressed with how flexible and accommodating they have been. I've talked to other parents in other parts of the country who are not experiencing as much success as we are. Thank you for what you do. So there again, that's just a true testament to the team that we have here. So thank you so much to Julie, Rachel, and Jessica.
Yes, I agree. That's my challenge, I would say. I work somewhere else, and my expectations are pretty high when I think about the team that that we have at 497. So
I just want to say to that too, Melissa, just thinking about Dr. Lewis, your role in the communication team. I mean, truly you are really savvy about how you communicate with all with students, with staff, with the community. So when Julie mentioned that you were a good partner, it's really noticeable as a board member. It's just a nice collection of people working together.
Yeah, and I definitely have to give kudos to Rachel. She gives me tips on social media. I still remember her very first tip. She may not remember this, but
Be a tip that would be helpful for other people too. On Twitter, you can't start a tweet with an @ when you're @ing someone because it won't show up on your feed, right, Rachel? So you have to either start with a period and then @ them, and it'll show up on your feed. Because I was wondering where my tweets were going, but Rachel shared that with me along with some other things that I was doing with pictures that I probably shouldn't have been doing, putting so many pictures on there. But yeah, so like I say, we just have a talented group here that really helps continue to promote our message.
great. Oh, I would say this is one successful board meeting full of celebrations and next up. So we will reconvene June 8th, 6 p.m. And may I have, if there's no other comments or questions, a motion to adjourn.
I just have one more comment.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I just want, since this is the last morning of the school year, I know we have 2 in June, and school was just out. I do want to publicly thank all of our parents for being 11-week substitute teachers. Our parents really have stepped up and helped our students and took on that role of lead teachers, but we call them co-teachers. So thank you to all of our parents for taking on that role. We really appreciate you.
Ms. Shannon, if you're ready, I'll make the motion to adjourn. So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be well, everyone. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you all.
You too.
Hi, everybody.